we talk about what it takes to be successful in the automotive industry, oftentimes we tend to focus on technical skills. With over 200 makes and models on the road today, there's a lot of information, technical information that we need to know. But technical knowledge will only take you so far. People skills can be just as important. In fact, as your career progresses, people skills become even more important. If we were to break down people skills into 4 main categories, it would look something like this: understanding yourself, understanding others, communication, and leadership. Today, we have Jessica Lear joining us. Jessica has been teaching people in the automotive industry for over 15 years now, and she can tell us a little bit about understanding your own personality as well as others. Jessica, when it comes to people skills, what are the most common problems you see people in the automotive industry make today?
Well, thank you, Field. I appreciate your time. Yes, in the automotive industry, people come into this field thinking they need just automotive knowledge. So either they come in very knowledgeable, or they come in expecting to be educated. So they come to school or on-the-job training. The part that they forget about is how important it is that they have people skills, particularly communication skills. So important that they understand what their skills are, but also that they understand that people think differently than them, and that they will need to adjust their communication style to work with those people, whether it be coworkers or guests.
Because there are a lot of coworkers that I'm really nothing alike, and so do I need to pick their brains and know all their personalities as well?
Well, thankfully not. I'll help you out. There are 4 personality types. I'm going to walk you through what those 4 personality types are so that you don't have to pick their brains. Instead, you can just clump them into one of the 4 personality types. But most important, that you'll know the one that you are, so you know when communicating where you start.
Okay, so 4, that sounds pretty easy. I think I can remember 4. What are those?
Okay, so they are diplomat, visionary, guardian, and creator.
Okay. Now for the important question, which one are you?
Yes, I am a diplomat. Probably the best way to describe a diplomat is they are the people. This is a group that they really try to keep things harmonious. They want people to be happy, they want them to have fun, whether it's on the job or it's a guest coming into their service center. This is a group who wants to build a great team. They want to enjoy each other's company. They ask a lot of questions of people because they want to better understand that person. They want to get to know their coworkers. They want to get to know their manager. Especially if they're in customer service, they're going to ask questions of their guest because they want to know, what is it the guest is looking for? What are their needs? What are the best solutions for them? And so the diplomat is just that, very diplomatic. They are great with their choice of words, and they're going to find a way to please others. So the best way to describe a diplomat is they are your people.
Okay, that sounds like you to a T. What do you think I would be?
Yes. Field, you are a visionary. Just as it describes, a visionary is one with great vision. You see beyond today. You don't accept things as status quo. You're looking for bigger, better, brighter, whatever it takes. I always say visionaries add onto the end of everything. Just to do that, make it better, stronger, brighter, lighter, faster. However you can improve, you're finding a process improvement. You find possibilities in people and in things. You are wanting to expand your knowledge, expand your skill, your competency. So I hear you a lot. You're asking the notorious question, why? And I've learned to know that you're not questioning authority, but instead you're trying to gain more knowledge or more experience so that you become competent in whatever it is you're doing. You're a great wordsmith. Visionaries, they are folks that are not going to just stay the same today. They are always trying to learn, to gain knowledge, and to get better tomorrow. I would say visionary best describes you.
I think you nailed it. Thanks for the compliments.
Yes.
So you're a diplomat. I'm a visionary. What about our coworker Jamie? He's a lot different from us. What do you think he would be?
Yeah, he is a lot different than us. What is most important to Jamie? I think he is a guardian. Guardians are called that because they are the ones that want to keep things stable. They like to keep tradition, and so they're the guardian of those processes or those things. This is a group who loves structure. They want to be organized. organized, they're very scheduled, they're very punctual. If you look around their space where they work, where they live, they're typically very neat, very tidy, very organized. They do not like disarray. They do not like when folks break tradition or even change the process. So this is a group, again, they are the guardians of those processes. They like things to stay steady, stable. So much so in their personal life, when they go out for dinner, they're going to go to the same restaurant and order the same thing off the menu every time. They're going to go to Olive Garden because they know what they like at Olive Garden, and they're going to stick to that same item on the menu because it's what they know. They're going to protect that tradition. They're going to keep it stable. Thus, they're the guardians of their workspace and their home place.
So we talked about diplomats, visionaries, and guardians. What would be the last group?
The last group, they're creators. We call them creators because they're very creative. This is a group who, they're flexible, they're spontaneous, they're typically very free-spirited, they have a lot of fun. They're a group that do not like to be confined by rules, by boundaries. They're going to get the job done however it takes to get the job done with a great deal of freedom. This is a group who does not appreciate being micromanaged more than any other group. This is a group who likes to get their hands on things and start doing. They don't want to read the instructions. The instructions, they'll read them later if they need them, but most of the time it's get their hands on. So this is a group who typically, coming out of high school, tend to not choose college, but instead find an industry that they can jump in and start learning, become an apprentice, learn a new skill, learn a new knowledge, such as automotive. Others choose to go into carpentry or electrical work, flooring, a lot of craftsman work, because it's stuff that they can get their hands on and start doing. Heck, college is another set of instructions that they can read later in life if they need them, but most of them are going to enter into a career or a skill or a craft that they become so good at that they are unmatched in the perfection and the precision of that skill. The creators, again, imaginative, just they love to explore, they love their freedom, free-spirited, spontaneous, flexible. Those are our creators.
Okay, so pretty much everyone I know, coworkers and friends alike, can fit into one of those four categories.
Yes.
How could this information that we just talked about help with interacting with others?
Yeah, so important to ask. So the first is you need to know where you start. Who are you? Which of these four fit you best? Because that's how you communicate, that's how you interact, and that's how you think. And then you need to realize that others are different than you. They typically are going to be in one of the other three categories. And so now you need to be able to adjust your communication style, the way you think, to what meets the needs of your coworker, maybe your manager, or your guest. And so, for instance, if you were a guardian and you worked with a creator, there's going to be a really big difference. The guardian likes to keep things stable. They want it the same every time. They appreciate tradition, policy, and procedure. The creator, not so much. They are going to break the rules. They're going to say it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, because that's what's going to allow them to get the job done. So these two can either butt heads or they can find a way to complement one another. This is a group that can feel like oil and water, or they can find a way to mix and to mingle and to say, hey, where you're good, I'm not. And we can appreciate one another because we can pick up where the other one leaves off. So in the workplace, in your personal life, this information about these four personality types, they can help your people skills however you apply them. You're gonna have to think about, where do you start, which one fits you, and which one fits the person you're communicating to.
Wow, so understanding yourself and understanding others really can help get the job done. Jessica, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Field. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So we talked about understanding yourself and understanding others. Let's move on to the third big category of people skills, communication. Here to talk with us is Kyle McMahon. Kyle has been in automotive management for 23 years. Currently, he's a director with Valvoline Instant Oil Change, overseeing 131 stores. And Kyle can give us a view from the top. Kyle, what are the mistakes you see technicians make most frequently in regards to communication?
That's a great question, Field. I think the mistakes that technicians make is that they don't communicate. And it's really for a couple of reasons. They feel embarrassed that they don't know the information, or they're afraid of what the result's going to be. So they're scared or intimidated and they don't ask it. And there's really two types of communicators that I want to talk about that I think will maybe help clarify this for everybody. One is what we want you to be, which is an assertive communicator, while the other is something that I would absolutely avoid, and that is being an aggressive communicator. So I'll start with the assertive. Being an assertive communicator means you're not afraid to share your ideas. You're excited about what you've thought of, and you communicate it in a very professional and respectful way. I think assertive communicator is also a great listener. So if their idea isn't chosen, they're okay with that. They take feedback very well, and they're open to new ideas. On the flip side, an aggressive communicator is something that I would not recommend doing. And the reason why is typically an aggressive communicator believes that their idea is the one that matters, and nothing else anybody says is going to change that for them. It's kind of like a you lose, I win type of mentality. And it almost hurts them even more because they become a poor listener. They're so anxious to share their idea that they don't listen to anybody else around them. I would absolutely avoid being an aggressive communicator.
Okay, so you mentioned assertive communication in a positive light, and aggressive and not so much of a positive light. So what other types of communication would you avoid?
There's two other forms of communication that I would avoid. I'll start by talking about passive communication. Passive communication isn't healthy because while you may have great ideas, you're afraid to share them. So you let everybody else's ideas basically get decided, where yours, while it could be a great idea, you just avoid sharing it because you're afraid of what the response will be. A second one is passive-aggressive communication. It's slightly different. It's the exact same thing as being passive-aggressive, but in communication, it's you have the idea, you're not going to share it, and then when somebody else's idea is chosen, in an aggressive manner, you may have subtle hints that you didn't like it or you thought it was a bad idea the whole time. Very counterproductive to the overall goal.
Awesome, great. So while I've got you here, we have one more important topic to talk about, and that's leadership. So in a lot of automotive fields, you don't have to be with the company very long before you start to have your leadership responsibilities. Before you know it, you could be covering shifts or maybe even lead a service center for the entire day. Sometimes when managers take a vacation, you could be there in charge for an entire week or longer. I'm sure you've seen people who adjusted to leadership well and others who didn't. What kind of characteristics would you recommend for a leader in the future for Valvoline Instant Oil Change?
So, great question. It's one of my favorite ones to answer. There's really a few things I think are absolutely important as a leader. Number one is listen. Listen to everybody. Don't assume that just because you've been in a role longer than everybody else that all of your ideas matter. There's so many great ideas that come from so many different people. Make sure that you listen. The second one is it's okay to be vulnerable as a leader. And what I mean by that is not to panic under tough situations, but don't be afraid to say, I don't know the answer, or I made that mistake before. Let me help you. That is so important. And you become more approachable to the people that will work for you if they believe that, number one, maybe you've made that mistake, and number two, you're not going to judge them for making that mistake. And the third is be humble. Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget where you started, whether it be with the current organization or a different organization, that odds are you probably started at the bottom and you worked really hard to work your way to the top. The second that you forget that's where you started, you're going to start treating people differently, and that's not at all what you want to do.
Kyle, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time today, man.
Happy to help. Thank you.